Today I'm going to talk about how to care for the Philodendron Squamiferum. I've had this one for a few months. I specifically bought this one because of the fuzzy petioles. This is such a cool plant. So I'm going to share some care tips, plus I'm also going to be adding a moss pole. So I'll be taking it out of this pot, putting it in a little bit more of a chunkier soil mixture, and then I'll be attaching it to a moss pole. So let's get started. Anytime you bring a new houseplant home, you have to make sure that you put it in the appropriate light. This Squamiferum, it grows on the forest floor underneath the canopy of tall trees and grow up their tree trunks to receive more light. So you don't want to toss this in like a really high light location, otherwise you're probably going to get some leaf bleaching or even leaf burn. Now that can also be said for highlight plants. You can't expect them to do well if you just stick them in a dark corner of your house. Something like a Ficus elastica, they require a lot of light. Same goes with these guys. So don't toss it in like a super highlight location and expect it to do well or look good. I like to use a digital light meter like this one right here. This is not going to tell me the amount of light that the plant will use to photosynthesize. It's just going to tell me roughly what type of visible light that the plant is receiving. So I'm just going to turn this on. And I like to use the foot candle setting, so I'm going to put it to the foot candles, and I'm going to change the range here so it can be seen a little bit easier. So this is where I keep my plant, just on the plant table. It is underneath my Highland grow light, and let's see what type of light this gets. So I'm going to point the sensor towards the light source, and it's around 250 foot candles roughly, kind of around 200 to 300 foot candles is the range. So right there, it's about 300. So this is in the higher end of low light and the lower end of medium light. So this is absolutely perfect. And you can see it's getting some new growth. So it really likes this spot right here. It is also beside a humidifier, which I'll be talking about shortly as well. So low light is classified between 50 to 250 foot candles. 250 to about 500 foot candles would be classified as medium light. Anything above kind of that 750 to 1,000 foot candles is highlight, and anything above 1,000 is considered direct sunlight or full sun. It loves this spot, and it is underneath these grow lights for about 14 hours a day. I do have them on timers, and I have another grow bulb here as well, just on the side of the table. Now for watering, I've heard that these can be a little bit tricky when it comes to getting the correct watering routine. I let mine get about 75% dry, so 75% of the pot will be dry, 25% will be basically a little bit moist or wet at the bottom. One of the things that I do with most of my houseplants is I will actually feel the weight of the pot. So I actually just watered this yesterday, so it feels a little bit on the heavy side, whereas yesterday it felt quite light and airy. If you don't have a moisture meter to help you determine if the soil is wet, you honestly don't need one. All you need is a bamboo skewer. I just picked up a pack of these from the dollar store. You stick it in the pot until it reaches the bottom, leave it there for about 30 seconds, pull it out. If there's any soil stuck to the skewer, that means it is well watered or it is saturated, and you can actually feel some of the moisture on the bamboo skewer as well. So that'll help you determine the depth of the moisture in the pot. It's just really easy. It's really simple. I use it all the time. It's really effective if you have a large plant with a lot of soil or it's really deep. This bamboo skewer works really well. If it does need water, then I completely soak the soil until it comes out to the bottom of the drain hole and then set it aside. And yeah, I end up probably watering this maybe once a week or kind of once every 7 to 9, 10 days, that kind of thing. One thing I don't hear often is the importance of pH in your water, in your soil. I've been trying to include this in a lot of my care videos and just videos in general about the importance of testing your water as well as your soil. Most houseplants, in order to use the nutrients in the soil, need a pH of between 6 to 6.5 and kind of that 7 range. I use filtered tap water, and I've tested it recently, and it is super alkaline. My tap water is a pH of around 8. So I've been adding this pH down solution. I just buy it at Canadian Tire. You just add this to your water and it brings that pH down. And I bought this little pH testing kit as well. So this is the filtered tap water with the pH down solution. I'm just going to test it here quick. You just add a couple drops of this solution into your water. You shake it up, and then you compare the results on the side of the container. So it's in the ranges It's kind of a greenish yellow. So right now it has a pH of around 6.5. So this is perfect for this plant. The water isn't orange or anything like that. It's just, it comes out as regular looking water, I guess. But this just helps bring down the pH levels in the water. If your soil is too alkaline over time, then your plants aren't going to be able to uptake those nutrients, like I said, and you'll probably start to get some yellowing leaves and the plant just won't look healthy. So that's why it's very important to water with the correct pH. Otherwise, you're going to run into some soil issues down the road. This is the fertilizer that I use. It is Dynagrow Foliage Pro. This is what I use for most of my houseplants. It's a liquid fertilizer. You just dilute it in a container of water, mix it up, and then water your plant as you normally would. So I will only use the fertilizer and water mixture when the plant needs to be watered. I won't give it water one week and then give it water and fertilizer the next week. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up with that root rot situation. I did test the water and fertilizer mixture with the pH testing kit, and it was around that 6.5. So if you add fertilizer to water, that's also going to bring down the pH. I have this fertilizer on my Amazon page. I don't sell any of the products. I just get a small little commission if you guys use the link. I have a number of products on there, including this fertilizer. So go check it out if you're interested in any products for plants, plant care, there's soil, grow lights, all that kind of stuff. Downstairs here, I have two humidifiers going. Here's my larger one. This one's on Amazon as well. And then I have a smaller one down here, which provides humidity closer to the floor. Right now, the humidity is 46% and the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. You can go pick this up on Amazon as well. So I have lots of cool stuff on there if you want to go check it out. And this is the range that this plant requires. Around that 40 to 45% is what this plant needs. So it's right here on the plant table, kind of right beside that, and it gets quite a bit of humidity just falling down on the leaves. But it's important if you're running humidifiers just to have good air circulation. That's the same reason why you want airflow if you have your plants like in an IKEA cabinet or a greenhouse. You want to make sure that the air is just continuously circulating so that the excess moisture doesn't cause any rot or anything like that. And obviously it just circulates the humidity around as well. This thing's just ripping, so I'm gonna turn it down to speed 1, and it provides airflow for all my plants on planks and my tropicals over here in the plant corner. I think I forgot to mention that I will fertilize this about once a month when it's actively growing. Okay, now I have a bunch of moss in a Tupperware container with water. Oh, there's a leaf. I'm just letting this soak for a little bit. Or I was letting it soak for a little bit. Now I'm going to place the rest in this moss pole. This is a plastic, moss pole. I absolutely love these ones. I don't like the round mesh ones. This one is far superior. It's got a solid backing with the kind of honeycomb in the front. So I'm just gonna squeeze out the water. I don't want it like soaking or dripping wet. I just want it kind of lightly damp. And then for this one, I'm just stuffing it in the top of the moss pole, and then I'm just pushing it down. This one is really compact here, so I'm gonna have to loosen this up a little bit. I know a lot of people will put the moss in and then put this pole together, like you can fold it up, but I place it in and then just kind of work its way down here with the bamboo skewer or pencil. What am I doing here? I should be using a pencil. I'm just putting that all down and just poking it down, making sure there's no large gaps in there. So the rest is pretty solid. Now I just have the little top end to finish up here. And then it has these little feet at the bottom which you can stick inside of a pot. It's pretty wet, so. I find this type of moss pole as well keeps the moss a little bit more moist. It doesn't dry out as fast just because there's more area on the back that holds into or holds onto the moisture. Okay, and then here is kind of the finished product. It's got these little feet which you place in the pot, and yeah, let's get this potted up. This one you can see is a little bit floppy. It needs to be potted a little bit deeper in its new pot. So I'm going to remove it from this one here first just to see what the root system is like, and then I'm going to choose the pot size after I pull it out of this container here. Okay, so looks pretty good. It is starting to become a little bit root bound. The roots are kind of encircling the bottom of the pot. So I'm just going to loosen that up. Where's my pencil? I'm always losing it. I'm just going to lightly loosen up the roots that are encircling. I don't want them to continue to encircle in the new pot, and I don't want to damage the rest of the roots just because these new leaves are starting to unfurl. So before I put it in the new pot, which will be this terracotta, I just want to show you the size difference between the two. So this is I think about a 3.5 inch, and this is almost 5 inches. It's about maybe 4.5, 4 3/4. So this is the next size from this, and normally this is what you would do with any sort of repotting. You just want to go one size larger, but I'm probably going to get some comments saying that this is going to be too small because when you add the moss pole in, it takes up a lot of the space in the bottom of the pot. Now I'm going to be placing it just at the top of the soil line so you can see how much there will be for the roots to expand in. Now the thing with a moss pole is when you have a plant growing into the moss, this is an extension of the growing medium. So there will be roots that'll grow from the stem into the moss, and it'll obtain nutrients and moisture from the moss. So that's why I'm going to go with this size of a pot and not something larger, because there will be roots along the stem of the plant as well as in the soil. Now before I stuff this in the pot, it's going to be much easier to see when it's out. Right here it looks like it's been previously pruned, so there's a snipped portion, and you can see just the kind of wacky growth structure of this plant. It's very similar to the burl marks, like this one right here. You can see it just has these like weird growth points that just come out of basically anywhere. Doesn't look like any specific node or anything like that, but just these weird growth points. You can see just how floppy and wobbly this is. So that's why I want to pot it in just a little bit deeper inside the pot if I can. I might have to remove a little bit of soil from the bottom, but yeah, just a crazy kind of weird plant. These fuzzy petioles, and then just this crazy growth structure. And yeah, I think it's a super cool plant. The soil that I'm going to use is a mixture of orchid bark, and obviously this has a lot of perlite in it. It's also got some charcoal. And then I am trying for the first time Fox Farm potting soil. So I'm just going to mix this up with something like that. Now for the plant, I had to take a little bit more soil off than I wanted just because I have to seed it, or I wanted to seed it a little bit deeper in the pot. So this is how it sits, and I'm just going to push this as far to the side of the pot as I can, and then I'm going to add some soil in just like that. Push it around the roots with a, where's my pencil? Losing my pencil again. Just making sure all the air gaps are filled around the back. And then I'm going to place the moss pole in the soil like that. Make sure those little feet get in there. And like that. And just gonna kind of line it up, and then I'm just gonna add soil in just around the empty spaces. Okay, so here's the finished product. I'm not going to water it right now as I want those roots to just kind of repair and adjust to the new soil. I did spray off the leaves, just a kind of a light spray, just because they had some soil on them. So I want them to be able to photosynthesize properly underneath the grow lights here, and hopefully it can grow into the moss and get larger leaves as it grows. I hope these new leaves will be okay when they're unfurling and not get damaged or anything like that. So I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. I appreciate all the support. Take care, everyone. Bye.